Hi friends, today we are going to discuss ECG interpretations. In last video we discussed just the normal ECG. So today we will discuss some interpretations of the ECG. So let's begin. So before going through, I will draw the normal ECG and will present that how we interpret the different waves and different uh, segments and intervals of ECG. This is what the ECG electrocardiograph, and we know that everybody I think know the ECG graph. The ECG graph has large boxes and small boxes. For example, 1 2 3 4 4 large boxes, and every large box have further small 5 boxes. I will make different color. So 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. Yes, it should be like this. One, two, three, 4, and 5. Now it's come 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Yes, so every large box have for the small 5 boxes. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5, and 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. Yes, so the distance of the large boxes with one large box is equal to 0.2 seconds. So if when the ECG graph moving under the electrocardiographic structure, then in 0.2 second one large box cross. For example, this is the pen or somewhat like the structure which read ECG, and it will be the graph. So the graph move like this, and this starts to interpret according to the contraction and relaxation, depolarization, regularization of the cardiomyocytes. It will move accordingly like this and make a graph. So this pin, ECG interpreting pen will move over the large box in 0.2 second. So if one large box is equals to 0.2 second, then one small box will be 1 2 3 4 5. So 0.2 divided by large box. One large box is equals to 0.2, and one large box is equals to 5 smaller boxes. So one small box is equals to 0.2 divided by 5. So it would be 0.04 seconds. So from here we get two informations, that one small box is equal to 0.04 second and one large box is equal to 0.2 second. So this is about the ECG graph. So let's go through the interpretations. The first interpretation is that sinus rhythm. What does sinus rhythm mean? sinus rhythm. So sinus rhythm means that if the P wave is before the QRS complex, then it will called as a sinus rhythm. That the heart rhythm is sinus. That the sinus SA node is responsible for the generation of electric impulses. So it means that the heart is working normally. I think the P wave, Q wave, R, S, T, P, Q, R, S, and here I think T. So if the P wave is before QRX complex, it is called sinus rhythm. It is P wave is before QRS. This means that, for example, this is your heart. The SA node, it is generating impulses and depolarizing the atrium and further down to the ventricles. So the atrium contract is presenting the right and left atrium. So P is before QRS. This means that the generating impulses is coming from the SA node. So it would be P wave or sinus rhythm. The second, that is regularity of the rhythm. Regularity of rhythm. Regularity of rhythm means that if the distance between R and R is equal, we can say that, for example, this one is R and the other R is here, and the distance between the R is equal. It means that the heart is contracting with equal rhythm, that the rhythm of the heart is regular. If it is not equal, if the distance between R and R, and the number of boxes between R and the next R and next R is not equal, it means that the heart is irregularly contracting and relaxing. So distance between R and R is equal. That would be regularity of the rhythm. And the second thing is that we can measure the heart rate. Number third, that is heart rate. Heart rate. So we can determine the heart rate from ECG, that the heart rate will be equal to 60 divided by the number of large boxes between R and R multiply by the speed of paper. Moving under the electrocardiogram drawing pin. So I will here. For example, 60 is a constant divided by number of boxes. If the number of boxes between R and R is equals to 4, and the speed of paper, which can be written, is written at the end of the ECG graph, is 0.2. So what it would be? 60 divided by 0.8. So it would be something like 75 beats per minute. So 75 beats per minute. So the heart rate is 75. So we can find the heart rate from the ECG graph. And the next thing is PR interval. The fourth number, that is PR. sorry, we may see PT interval. So the distance from P to T, it is what we call as PT interval. So we can find the PT interval between after examining the ECG graph, that is the number of large boxes multiplied by speed. The number of large boxes between P and T. So number of large boxes multiplied by the speed of paper. Speed of paper. For example, if the number of large boxes between P and T is 2, and the speed of paper, for example, it would be 0.2, then the answer will be 0. I think somewhat like 4 seconds. So we can say that the PT interval is 0.4 second. From here to here, the PT interval is 0.4 seconds. So this is what the PT interval. And the next is, that is the length of R. How can we find the length of the R? Vertical length of R. Vertical R length is horizontally we are measuring the number of boxes. So horizontal at the vertical position we are also measure the number of boxes. For example, from here to here we measure we get for example 15 small boxes. So number of small boxes multiply by millimeter, because one small box will be equal to 1 millimeter if we consider it in a vertical position. So for example, it would be number of boxes multiplied by number of boxes multiplied by millimeter. For example, we have from here to here 15 boxes. So multiply by, and so for example we have 5 boxes, and one box it would be equal to I think 1 millimeter. So it would be, that is 3 into 10. So number of boxes we have to calculate like this. The number of boxes multiplied by millimeter, that is if the number of boxes is 3, so each box will be equals to 5 millimeter. 5 millimeter. For example, number of boxes is 3 boxes considered. 1 box, 2 box, I will make here 1 box, 2 box, and 3 box, and every box has 5 small boxes. So 1 box, 2 box, 3 box, and 3 boxes have further 5 small boxes, and 1 small box is equals to 1 millimeter. So 15 small boxes will be equal to, I think it would be 15 millimeters. 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, and even it would be 15 millimeters. So 3 multiplied by 5 equals to 15 millimeters. So 3 is number of large boxes, 5 is number of small boxes, so it would be 15 millimeter. The distance of the length of R will be 15 millimeter. Here in horizontal position we are considering the boxes multiplied by the speed of paper, and at the vertically we are considering number of boxes multiplied by the length, that is in millimeter. So this is about the RR length and PT interval. So the next is that of the excess of word. Different persons, that is asthenic, hypersthenic, hyposthenic. So they have different orientation of their hearts, different axis. The some For example, if the person is asthenic, then the heart will be somewhat like vertically, it will be more vertical in position. If the person is hypersthenic or he is fat, then the heart will be somewhat tilted horizontally. So it will different persons have different orientation of their heart. So according to the axis or orientation of the heart, we have three categories by electrical representation: electrical axis, electrical axis. If the person is normosthenic, he is normal, then what will, how we consider? Number three, if the person is uh, asthenic, then it would be in a vertical position, or that is vertical axis, normal axis and vertical axis. And the third one, that is horizontal axis, horizontal axis. In this particular person, the heart is normally placed in her in his or in her middle mediastinum. In this person, the vertical axis means the heart is little bit in a vertical position, like this, somewhat like vertically. So it would be the asthenic person, that he will be thin and tall. In this case, the person will fat or hypersthenic, and the heart will more horizontally placed in his or her middle mediastinum. So these persons, we can identify the orientation of heart by using electrical phenomena. So in this way, we use the axis, that is it, in this way the R2 would be greater than R1, and R1 is greater than R3. But in vertical axis, the R3 will be greater than R2, and R2 will be greater than R1. R is nothing but the R wave, here presenting R wave, because we have different electrodes. So R1, R2, R3, somewhat like this in electrocardiograph. So R1, R2 and R3. If R2 is greater than R1 and R1 is greater than R3, then we can say that the person is normosthenic. If R3 is greater than R2 and R2 is greater than R1, then we can say that the person is asthenic and his heart is vertically oriented. If the person is somewhat like this, that R1 is greater than R2 and R2 is greater than R3, then we consider the person is hypersthenic, somewhat like this. R1, so R2 is greater than R1 and R1 is greater than R3, which means that the person is normosthenic. If R3 is greater than R3 is greater than R2 and R2 is greater than R1, then the person is called as asthenic, and the heart orientation would be vertical axis. So this is all about the ECG interpretation. Something in next lecture we will discuss the pathological presentation or pathological interpretation of the heart in different pathologies. Thank you.